Good. Oh. Hello and welcome to another edition of Cheers PA Beer Talk. I am joined by an illustrious guest today, Mr. Dave Mack, Philly Mack to his friends, founder of Mack Brewing in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. But I'm sure if you ask him, he'd make sure that we qualified as, no, it's West Philly, because once you cross that river, things are different. Don't try to claim Philly. This is West Philly. It's a whole different thing. And if you don't know, you should check it out because it's definitely worth your time. Spent a little bit of time in and around West Philly doing some deliveries back in the day. And I have to say the culture is strong. And so I'm glad to have you as an ambassador of the culture and get into what you're trying to do with Mack Brewing. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I'm sorry, go ahead.
My apologies. No, please continue.
Like I said, I'm just excited. Thank you for spotting out the West Philly. I know a lot of people just say Philly, and not to dim the light on any different section of Philly. Wherever you're from, as you know, it's really a part of you. Like you where you're from, it depends on where you're going to send somebody to get a cheesesteak that's a tourist. Like you're not going to send them to D'Alessandro's and you're from West Philly. You're not going to send them there. That's more of a Manny Young, West Oak Lane thing. So we all come together, but we have our different sections that bring us, that give us our individuality.
Absolutely. Now, the first question we've asked everyone on the show is, what is the craft beer or the beer in general that made you want to know more about brewing or craft beer in general? What's the one that got you started on this journey?
The one that got me started, I'm going to say, and it's the craftman's craft. It was Notting Head, a small Notting Head. It was a small batch in store. You couldn't bottle it. You couldn't can it. I did get a keg one time, but I'm pretty sure I'm one of few that wasn't unemployed. It was on 15th and Sansom. It was Notting Head, Monkey Knife Fight.
Now, what kind of beer was that? I'm not familiar with that one.
It was I believe it's an ale. It was a lemongrass, and it was a lemongrass ale.
Man, that sounds refreshing and complicated and delightful.
A day like today, that's where I would be.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So you had some, what'd you say, Funky Knife Fight? Monkey Knife Fight?
Yep.
Oh, man, I don't even want to get into that. I was already worried about a funky knife fight, but you start throwing monkeys and knives together, man, you're done. It's over. So you have this lemongrass beer, and you start to get on this journey of, I want to know more about beer. Then you start making beer, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So you're home brewing, you're doing it out of your spot, and you're coming up with your own recipes. You're working on your batches. Along the way, what is the most impressive thing that you've had happen to you? And also, do you have any hilarious stories of like the time a bucket blew up on you and you had a big mess or something?
Impressive. I didn't know it was impressive until I started hearing people's horror stories. My first recipe was an IPA, and I nailed it. It's the IPA that I'm still doing today.
Now, that's the one you just had the can release for the Juneteenth cookout, right? That's the same recipe?
Yes. I'm getting a little static from you.
My apologies. The Juneteenth release that you had for the cookout, that's the same recipe?
Yes. I don't know. I don't know if everybody can hear it, but it seemed like it got a little worse. It's static. It's like let me not say static. It's like a digital type situation.
Is this, you still getting it there?
Yeah.
Okay. We may have to bring in the producer. Let me mess with the microphone real quick. But if you could you talk about the Juneteenth cookout and the can release?
Juneteenth cookout was a fundraiser just to like get closer more and more to our goal of a brick and mortar location. It was once you made your donation, then it was a secret location, so we sent everybody the invite. It was actually pretty dope. We had barbecue chicken. We had beef brisket. The barbecue sauce was made and infused with the IPA. Something funny that happened was we forgot to get the oil for sauteing the vegetables, so we used the beer for that as well. And everybody is honestly, it was supposed to be small. We had about 60, 50 to 60 people there. That's really what I was shooting for. Because I was throwing a cookout anyway, and it was just like, you know what, let me, I don't know if I don't do it now, I may not have time to do it later. So let me go ahead and throw an event to get people that's in Philly that never was able to get the beer before, so they can come out and taste it. Two, get people who have been supporting the opportunity to really like be able to meet me, see what I'm about, and just get some good vibes. We're outside in the park. We were actually in West Philly, so it was a good time. The day it rained a little bit, but the rain like subsided. Like it wasn't really like it rained enough to like some people might get turned off, but it wasn't any mud or anything. Like the ground was still dry. So it was pretty dope, man, and just to see some of the people. Like we had somebody come from Washington State
What?
that like we've been following you, and I was in New York and I knew I was gonna be in North Carolina around this time, so we just came up, and it was like it was really it was flattering to see how many people are actually paying attention to the journey, because with social media you don't really get to interact the way you would, especially if social media, and then you have the pandemic, you're not able to interact with people the way you normally would, and to see the reach that I'm getting, um, man, is still amazing.
Well, I think a lot of it to me has something to do with just your authenticity, man. Like to me, what you're trying to do from the roots of where you started and how you found and came up with your name, and just like the history that you're building on, the shoulders that you're standing on, let's say that, and where you're trying to take that name, to me was just profound. And to see someone taking such a clear approach to it, and it comes through in that social media, that I understand why you're having the reception that you're having so early on and what you're trying to do. So talk a little bit about where that journey and finding your name and kind of why you're doing what you're doing, both for the history, but also for the future of your family.
So I got into it because honestly, it was before, I didn't know it was that many black people that brewed beer. I did know the history of beer, where it's coming from. It's coming, from Africa. It can go back as far as Africa. Then you got to go to Egypt. What exact country it came from, I'm not even going to sit here and try to contemplate that. But it comes from the monks. So we all know the history of beer. But I'm not knowing, whenever I would go to different spots, especially in Charlotte, I would be one of very few guys, and if it was someone there that was drinking, and like not a bottle shop, but it's a spot called VBGB's, and they sell like all types of beer in
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte. And if they were there, they would have like a picture of like Bud Light or something like that. And it's like, I can't be the only one that enjoys this. Uh, so I started like really getting into it, and at the time I was dealing with this young lady, and she cooks. So we were like playing with flavors, and we was like playing
Mm.
with tea bags to figure out like if I wanted to use mint, if I wanted to do this. So it's like a bunch of different recipes that I haven't even tried yet, but that's not my goal. We'll get to that. And when I started doing my research, it was Theodore Mack Sr., who started People's Brewery in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And once I seen it, he spelled it Mack. Now, of course, my name is McMullen, but from my grandfather on down, it's always been Mack, because people have, if any, I'm pretty sure any Irish person can tell you like your name will be messed up when people are trying to say it. So like instead of saying McMullen, they would just say Mac, and we always spelled it Mack. So I thought that was a great connection, just to like a ha moment. And when I started reading the history of how he was blackballed, and he was like first of all, it was the only black company, and he had people also invest in him, and then how he just got blackballed out of the game. It was like, well, why hasn't it been anybody since? And of course, now I know about so many across the world, but I didn't at that time, and it was definitely hard to find them. So that's when I found uh, Fresh Fest.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at that Fresh Fest, literally, that was 2019. And if you really go back to when everything started, January 1st, 2020, that's when I launched the website. So it was the battery that was really in my back. Garrett Oliver was there. And Garrett Oliver, I wasn't going to let him taste the beer. I was definitely shy. And I'm not the shy person. My sister normally is, but my sister was with me. And, she said, take him the beer. And I took it to him, and I'm like, man, I ain't really want to be let down. Like, everybody else been telling me it's good, this, and the third. So I'm like, man, I don't know. This is the guy. And
not just the guy, but like a legendary palate when it comes to beer. Not like you can call him a guy, but that's not doing any kind of credit to like the accomplishment of what you're about to say.
Man,
like he has the palate when it comes to beer.
He has damn near my life in he has 30 years plus in the game. So it's like, man, this is dope. So when he tried it and he gave it, the thumbs up, I said, oh shit. Oh, excuse, I don't know if I could cuss. Excuse me. I said, "Oh man, I'm running with this," and it was. So I don't know. Like I know I get a lot of people that's from the West Coast and they do that West Coast IPAs. It's not like that. It's hoppier on the back end, not on the front end. It's not an overly aggressively hoppy. And I like to think that is the true definition of what Indian Pale Ale is. It was never meant to be overly hoppy. Just to let you know it was there. So I don't know. Maybe am I making a new IPA, a East Coast? I don't know. I don't know yet.
Well, I will say that what you're talking about is balance, and in my opinion, when you anything with balance is better than when you can play with the edges a little bit, but you take anything too far, and it's ridiculous. So I feel like taking balance into your recipes, it's not a surprise that you're having the reaction that you're having, because in beer right now, in my opinion, there's so much. People are trying to just outdo each other in all different directions. The most sour, the most hoppy, like the crispiest of lagers, which I don't even think is possible, but whatever, compete where you want to compete. So I think that what you've got going on, you have a palate that clearly knows what you're doing. You have a beer that's been received very well, both from the public and the professionalist of like I still can't. I was reading that about Garrett Oliver. I couldn't believe that. I would have been losing it. Like, how did you even work up the courage to even get up there and be like, "Hey, I want to lay this down on your palate. Tell me what you feel."
Well, honestly, I was getting my book signed. So when he was there, I was the only person that brought my Oxford book of beer. So when he was coming down to like meet and greet people, no one had this book, and I'm looking like, am I the only one? Like, am I the only one that brought this? And I was. Because everybody in line, like, oh shit, I didn't bring my book, but you knew he was going to be here. So, and I only brought a 6-pack because I'm thinking it's a regular, a beer fest, so nobody's drinking my shit. Nobody wants to drink this, and it was like, yo, why didn't you bring more? I'm like, I didn't know it was going to be cool to bring more. So once that happened, I ran with it. But to answer the second part of your question, is because, just coming from where I'm coming from and just being in our generation, I don't care if you're black, white, or indifferent, when you're coming up in the same generation, the 30, 40 plus, your goal was to, one, your parents wanted you to go to college. Once you go to college, you get everything that you get, and you get yourself a job. You get yourself a job, you go from there, you have your family, you retire, and life is great. Once you retire, life is good. And at the end of the day, I've always worked, but I never liked it. I never liked working. It was always like, you always got to work on the holidays. If you're working, I worked in country clubs, I worked in restaurants, I worked in higher ed, I worked for the city, and you were always busy on times that you just wanted to be with your family. It was like you got to go above and beyond to find time for your life. Now your life is your job. And if you can't enjoy what you're doing, and I'm not putting this on everybody, if you can't enjoy what you're doing, then what are you doing? If I can't bring my kid to work and just have them here with me, then it's no point. So my goal was to always, I've never seen my parents' name on any building. Yes, they own their homes. Yes, I don't know what it is not to own a home. I don't know what it is not to have my own room. And I appreciate my family and my parents 1,000 times over for that. All my needs were met. And the next step for me is I feel like once you're starting your family, everything, having your own room, needs being met. That's the bench. That's the benchmark. So now the next step is, okay, owning a home, that's cool. But now I want to own a building. I want to own a business. I need to see my name on it. I need to let my son know it's other ways of being successful. You don't have to go and work for someone else if you don't want to. But you also need to know, if you wanted to do your own thing, this is how you can do it. So at this point, I'm navigating that myself. So that way I do know both sides of the game. So that way my son and my future children won't have to navigate it on their own. These are things that my parents can't fathom. Not saying that they're slow or anything like that. It's just they really don't
It's a different way,
understand. Like,
man.
my dad is like, well, how do people know? How do people know about you? I'm like, well, so it's online. What do you mean? Like, online where? And he can't fathom it. Like, when he's like, why do so many people know about your beer? It's just, I can't explain it.
Pops, the brand is strong. Come on now. Like, it's as simple as that. Plus those satin jackets that you're putting out there, like, your aesthetic and the way that you go about putting your brand together is so attractive. It's lean, it's crisp, but it's also got that classic flair that you're like, man, this thing could be like 30 years old. Like, the brand looks like it's been around forever and unlike anything else around at the same time. It's incredible what you've done with just blocking some letters and just like the color schemes and just everything is spectacular.
Thank you.
Where do you get, is this just like innate artistic ability? Like, those eyes, man, you can see things that the rest of us can't see, right?
I'm a sneaker guy. I'm a sneaker fanatic. So, like my son, like, his diaper bag was a limited edition Patrick Ewing a book bag. It was like orange with wings on it. Now he's like old enough to like take it to basketball camp with him. But so I always, when I look at things like the t-shirts, I wanted something simple. I already went through the whole, like, having a difficult crazy design that sticks out, this and the third. And Kiss, keep it simple, stupid.
Mm-hmm.
The simplest thing is going to get the attraction. It's clean. When it came to the satin jackets, I've seen a couple other brands try to do it, but the quality of this one was extremely better. This is actually one of my college professors who manufactures them for me. And the t-shirts is also another friend, because when he reached out to me about doing the t-shirts, I didn't want to do my big thing is, I don't mind giving a person 20, 25, $50 for a t-shirt. I don't mind. That's the world we live in. I don't mind that. What I do mind is, if I'm paying 20, 30, $50 for your design on a t-shirt, I don't want to see the manufacturer of the t-shirt in the tag. That devalues everything that you're doing. So my whole thing was, I need it to be personalized. I need it to, it's the little things that make people know, like, okay, when you look at the tag, well, of course it's not a tag, but when you look at the tag in the shirt, it's like, oh, this is that. And when you're messing with sneaker culture, they pay attention to details. Certain stitching to your sneaker will throw off everything. Like, I'll take a pair of shoes back if I see glue, it's going back. I don't like I not take this. We sitting here. I'm supposed to be the franchise. Just wrong. And the satin jackets. I want something. When you look, like, for instance, we're in the craft beer world. I don't know that many people that drinks Pabst Blue Ribbon, but I'll see Pabst Blue Ribbon shirts forever. So that's the goal, is create something that not only, I have a lot of friends that's not beer drinkers. So therefore I want to create something that, hey, I don't drink beer, but my guy does this. He has his own brand. I want to support him. I got the jacket. I got this, and I want to make it, limited edition. The blue ones may not come back out for a while. There's a
Hmm.
couple colors. We're doing maroon. We're gonna do a gold. Uh, and once they're gone, they're gone. They may come back out years later, but right now we just want to be able to identify the people that support it, and the people that have gotten the jackets. It's like, you know what? I knew it was nice when I seen it,
Hmm.
but this is better than I expected. I'm not mad that I paid you for this jacket. And that's the goal.
You're asking for a buy-in in your company, and you're doing it with beer that's approachable. You're doing it with one-of-a-kind, limited edition swag that allows people to support you, but not feel like they're just giving you money for nothing. Like you're getting something, and then they're in return pushing the brand further and further and just getting it out there because it is eye-catching and it is something unique that you don't see all the time. It's not, there's a lot of big breweries and you see their stuff everywhere, but like your stuff stands out in a crowd for all the right reasons. And I understand now why Mack has more fun, because you look at everything from the holistic point of view. It's not just, I want to open a brewery, but I want to have the right aesthetic. I want to have the right vibe. I want to make sure people are taken care of. Like all of those things, I get it now. Mack has more fun. Like that's a trend that I can get behind. How do we get more people on board? Where can they support you? Like Mack has more fun, but they need more funds. You know what I mean? So like we need to help you out a little bit. Where can people find your stuff at?
So right now, of course, the website can drive you anywhere. Mack, Mack, Brewing .com, and then also that'll lead you to our GoFundMe. And then with our GoFundMe, as I explained numerous times before, because you have so many people that are looking at the value, we're asking for 250,000. I don't expect to get that all from the crowd, but just so you can understand how much is actually needed to start a brewery. And that's the part that they're looking at people um first before we get into that. The GoFundMe, once you donate, when you read all of the description of everything that we're doing, why we're doing it this way, it also gives you the tiers
Mm-hmm.
of whatever you're purchasing, whatever you're donating, what your gift will be. Um, and also with that, I know we have some T-shirts that we're waiting for. We have some sweatshirts that haven't went out yet because we had to switch manufacturers.
Mm-hmm.
As you said, quality is everything, and the
Mm-hmm.
aesthetic is everything, and it wasn't up to our standards. So I'll bite the bullet on that. I know it's been people waiting, and that's donated, months ago that haven't received. They received the beer, but they haven't received the swag. So we're getting to that to get a better manufacturer on that. We will be having a couple more. We were supposed to have a fish fry, but it's a time constraint on that. I have to take an actual trip, a personal trip, and then we have Barrel and Flow coming up. I just got invited to Black October Fest. I don't know. I want to do both of them, Durham and LA.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to get that together, and plus just collabing with different breweries like Troves, Harris Family. We have a collab with Montclair Brewery that I should be going to go brew sometime next week. I believe. I think next week, and that's going to be released with for Barrel and Flow. And we have a couple other people that that's reaching out to us to do some collabs. So at this point, the approach that we wanted to take, not to keep it like, oh, you got to know someone and know how to get it. We're just keeping it close to the vest. As far as, I don't want to just flood the streets
Mm-hmm.
with the beer. It's enough beer out there.
Absolutely. Keep your
And I could
standards
have took
high.
Yeah, I could have took the contract brewing route, but it just didn't make sense at this particular time to do it. And at the end of the day, the what the rationale that I use, the ruling that I follow is just get beer to lips.
Mm-hmm.
It might be one, it might be two, but getting beer to lips and having that quality will go a long way versus seeing the beer every day and you're just getting started. I don't like the fact that it's so many, and this is just my opinion. No diss to anyone. When you're starting out and then you have like 5 or 6 beers, but you're not like credible yet. I rather spend my time with building this one. Yes, I made a lemongrass and honey ale. That's 14%. And when you donate on the higher tiers, it's a 19.6% um, barley wine that we have as well. That's a one off. Once it's
Mm-hmm.
gone, it's gone. Uh, and my goal is to have different styles of beer, but to have them have limits on when I'm producing them. I don't want to be another brewery with 30 different beers. That's not my goal. My goal is to make dope beers. I like high gravity beers, so that the IPA is 10%. And I want to be able to make socially drinkable beers that, one, I hate when I break the seal. So I want something that you can enjoy and you don't have to keep running to the bathroom. I don't want to drink six or 12. I want to sip one
Mm-hmm.
and dip slowly. That might be crazy for my sales. So what? I want a beer that can stand the test of time. And I want something that, I smoke cigars. I need something to go with my cigars.
Yeah, those thinner like pilsners and stuff like that, cigars eat them alive. So like something that's got some mouthfeel and some richness to it that you can appreciate those subtle notes and especially like you said, test of time. Those higher gravity beers, you lay them down for a little bit, they're only getting better. So build them up, get them while you can, and then when they're gone, that's your fault for missing out on them. Maybe catch the train on the next one.
But I'm glad you brought up the Pilsner because the Pilsner that we have a three-way collab with Trogs and Harris Family, it is a Pilsner, but it's 10%.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Imperium, man, and Barrel and Flow. So real quick, how did that collaboration come about? The artwork looks insane. And
Oh man.
how excited are you for that festival?
One, I'm extremely excited because this is going to be my first festival. My first festival was supposed to be Fresh Fest, but then we had the COVID, and then they had some issues internally with that actual brand. So now you have Barrel and Flow. They called me and he's like, "Hey, I brought your name up, and would you be interested in doing a three-way collab?" And I've tasted the barrel. Well, first of all, I've had Harris Family. I met Harris Family at Fresh Fest in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And when I met them, we had a good vibe right then and there. And Trogs, of course, I mean, everybody knows Trogs. Is John and that Troganator is something vicious.
You got to
But
watch him with those, man. They'll sneak up on you.
man, listen, it was a great experience
Yeah.
in Hershey. But once I said dope, and John had called me, and we just started talking, and he likes the vibe. Harris Family, that whole group, they already knew of me and knew about me and knew me, so they were already okay with it, and it was good. And another thing that I would like to bring up, man, when it comes to this beer world, we're artists.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, getting a feature, you're not going to get every artist on the same track with other artists because it's just not going to happen. It doesn't bush well. Not that they don't like each other. It's not going to work. It
There's only
doesn't
so
work
much track.
artistically.
Yeah.
And this actually worked artistically on what we were trying to achieve. And the artist, I apologize. His name is slipping my mind right now. Tim from Harris Family knew of him and brought him in, and his designs. That's not even that. That's like one of like 5 designs he made, and that one to me it just stuck out. But and it was just enough going on that anybody can take on their own approach of it. But it was subtle enough to say, okay, I like this, but it sticks out. So when you see it, you want to go for it, and it wasn't too much. I think when it comes to beer now, the labels are so crazy. It's like it's everything in the world on a label, but I don't know what style of beer it is. I don't know where it came from. Like whenever you gotta like search hard for what it is and what style and everything else, like the only thing you're guaranteed to find is the government one.
Yeah, and that's the challenge with doing too much on a label. And some of the things I like about yours is that you're right. Why do I have to spend? It's how Where's Waldo? Like, I'm just give me the details that I need, make it look bright, refreshing, something that like pulls my eyes in. But I'm not trying to solve puzzles to figure out what I'm drinking here and riddles. But man, you've got such a great spirit. I understand now. I get it all. Mack has more fun. You got to check out the hashtag. Those photos from the Juneteenth cookout looked amazing. I appreciate you joining us today and introducing us to Barrel and Flow. I went down a Ghost Note rabbit hole last night, and they are super cool, man. Holy cow. I thought I knew some things, and that funk turned me around. So I have to say, you are in for quite a treat if you check out Barrel and Flow. You got to make sure you check out the Imperium, as well as Mack Brewing and his collaboration with Trogs and Harris family. Tim White, friend of the show. So I see why y'all get along so well, because I mean, having John on, having Tim on separately, like the vibe is the same. So you guys got it going. I can't wait to check it out. And if there's anything else that you ever need from us, man, we're here for you. Please keep us up to date on the progress, any way that we can help promote. We want to thank our friends at Wise Markets for making this project happen and showcasing all the up and coming brewers in Pennsylvania and the changing face and tide within brewing, and how necessary it is to have diversity. It's a crazy thing to say, but what you were talking about earlier, that you didn't realize how many Black people were actually brewing previously, they didn't get the credit for it. And so to see you taking ownership of this project and really making it your own is so inspiring. And it's something that future generations can look to and say, Dave Mack, Philly Mack did it. He followed in the footsteps of Theodore Mack Sr. Like, thank you for just continuing a tradition and, you know, being a light out there in West Philly, man. Next time I'm through there, I'll have to let you know, because I usually stop in for the bottle shop at Local 44 is legendary.
Oh, yeah. That's on Spruce. So it's like right down the street.
Yeah.
It's right down the street. I grew up in that area, but you have to send me your address. Either email it to me or DM it to me so that way I can send you guys something. I appreciate being on. I appreciate just getting the story out there. And like I said, man, it's just, because everybody doesn't know everyone in all industries. Mm-hmm. So we have to make it easier not easier, but you have to make it more accessible for people to even just find out the information about it. So that way, you can see if you want to do it or if you don't. Beer, now that I see that I'm getting more involved in it, and it's like, well, I'm not a beer drinker, and it's like, so my next thing is like, you know what, I can force you, and I'm not, excuse me, I can't force you. I can tell you all types of beers and lay them down in front of you and encourage you to drink them, or I can just say, you know what do you drink? You know what, you should go try a lambic. Try a lambic. Go from a lambic. You like sweeter things. Try a peach lambic. Like bitter things, try a raspberry lambic. And once I can get into your psyche to say, oh, this is beer, like this, I didn't know beer could taste like this. Mm-hmm. Now I can start you down the rabbit hole.
I love it, man. You're just broadening the palates one set of lips at a time. So keep getting that beer to those lips. We appreciate your time today. Mr. Dave Mack of Mack Brewing Company. Check out the fundraiser. The website is super cool. Some great stories and photos on there. And we are done here today. And I do appreciate our guest time. We will be back for our next show. Thank you again to Wise Markets, and have a great day.
Thank you. Have a good one.